Saturday, noon, Syracuse, number 24, Tennessee. Tennessee's a 14-point favorite. This game will be played in Atlanta. The over-under I have is 18 Tennessee pass attempts. Very specific. That is the fewest amount of passing attempts that Josh Heupel has had in a game during his 7 seasons as a head coach. It was actually the 2021 Vandy game when it was over by halftime. They need to throw the ball a whole lot. I don't think this one will be over by halftime. I'll be stunned if either of these passing attacks look particularly good. That might be the case on a normal day with these teams, considering it's Fran Brown, not necessarily a great year one for his defense at Syracuse, but still I expect better days ahead given where he came from, the Kirby Smart coaching tree, all that. And then Tim Banks leading the other defense who we just now at this point assume Tennessee's defense is going to be up for the challenge. Those are two guys that can very much coach up a secondary and frustrate an opposing quarterback. But now those two guys have 8 months to prepare. Mm-hmm. And even with the questions that are facing both of those units, I would expect them still to have the upper hand in a very extreme way because both of these teams will 2 post-spring quarterback transfers starting. Mm-hmm. Steve, I don't think you're ready for Angeli. Excuse me. Apologies. If you don't know,
it's so sad when I get to say that one again because that's electric.
Who knows? Syracuse in the playoff hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to find a way to sneak that in. Steve Angeli in the Heisman Trophy hunt. That's not happening. But he is going to have a very difficult task.
It would be less ridiculous than Kyle McCord, I feel.
Kyle McCord made more sense to be in the Heisman Trophy hunt than Steve Angeli. I'll give Kyle McCord a little bit more respect than that from that perspective. Joey Aguilar as well. I'm going to confess something, Will.
Okay.
This is where I'm going to ask you to get out the Google machine.
Okay.
Tell me I'm crazy here. Tennessee fans, you might not want to hear this, but I need to get this out there because I can't stop thinking about it. And I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since Tennessee announced that Joey Aguilar, the transfer from UCLA by way of App State, a couple of other schools that he started his career at in California. Are we sure that Joey Aguilar is not Jared Garantano?
Oh, no. Oh, man. What is going on with the lookalike generation of quarterbacks?
Well,
we got Raiola, we got Simmons at Ole Miss. Now we got this.
I'm not saying he's trying to look like Jared Garantano, who we found out his name was Garantano, not Garantano, because he decided his senior year to actually correct people on that. Are we 100% positive that this isn't some massive prank? In this era of college football, where the NCAA has basically thrown up its hands to all parties, most notably Tennessee, are we positive that the Vols didn't just call up Garantano the second that the Nico news broke?
These fans have been through enough this offseason. I won't stand for this.
Are you looking at these guys side by side?
I'm looking at them side by side. And
am I crazy?
Yeah, I think that it's like we have fewer, because of social media, this is just a deeper theory I have on life. Get ready, guys. I think because of social media, we have fewer archetypes of guy to pick from, or just people in general, because you just see inspiration in this world so easily and everybody follows. Like the weird guy in school doesn't really exist anymore. He's just following the weird guy trends on TikTok. And so I think that's why we have so many look-alike quarterbacks these days.
Could this be an Avril Lavigne situation?
There you go.
Or for the non-millennial conspiracy theorists, could this be a Paul McCartney situation, silent replacement? I'm just saying, at the very least, same breed of human. They look very, very similar. And I'm warning you, Tennessee fans, even if you think that they are, in fact, different people, Joey Aguilar, Jared Garantano, they might look like the same person on the field at moments. Some bad interceptions, some moments where the receiver runs a different route than he's expecting. All that stuff is in play, especially in week 1 and what will be his debut. But I don't think the Syracuse run defense will stop the 3-headed Josh Heupel rushing attack with Bishop, Lewis, and Thomas. Peyton Lewis having a breakout year is very much on my radar. I liked Deshaun Bishop a lot last year, but Peyton Lewis is the one with his speed. I'm just kind of going, I could see him having all these big plays in that Tennessee offense and just those wide splits, 70 yards off to the races. And we're like, hey, we should be talking about Peyton Lewis more. I'm going to take Tennessee to win this game, but not cover. I think 14 is a lot of points. I'm going to say Tennessee wins a sloppy game, 20-17.
So this game is actually just more fascinating the more I look at it. I kind of feel like Syracuse is getting disrespected after what they did last year. I mean, you talked about Fran Brown, who was a first-year head coach last year, they went 10-3. They had the big Miami win. I feel like they proved every doubter wrong, and they're sitting here unranked for this game, which is like, what else do you kind of need to see?
A lot of new pieces. A lot of new pieces on that roster.
Yeah, I just feel like for Syracuse, it's kind of like, what is your ceiling? I feel like they got pretty close to it last year, and that being said, both of these teams are kind of a mystery box. In a world where everything is changing, I just keep gripping to the things I know. And I think with Josh Heupel, this is the style of game that if you don't see them come out and just score 14 fast points, you probably should be a little bit worried. I think even the year with Joe Milton, they played a bad Virginia team, mind you, got to start the year, and they were off to the races, and Joe Milton looked like a statue, an automaton, right? And I know that that's not Syracuse. I've just given Syracuse respect ahead of time for that reason. But that being said, in these out-of-conference kind of to start the year games for Josh Heupel, this is when Tennessee has looked like the best team in America for the first 3 weeks of the season and fooled all of us. And so that being said, if they're not running the vertical offense and guys aren't running downfield, I think we got to be a little bit concerned about Aguilar's throw power, his ability to get the ball down the field, because we talk about preparers versus adjusters. Like, that was what Josh Heupel was known for on this here podcast for years, where it was like, drive one, set it and forget it. You can go ahead, make sure you're there for drive one, because it's going to be a thing of beauty. There are going to be so many option routes. There's going to be so many go routes. The offense is going to be clicking. And then once you run out of those scripted plays, now we're in a ball game. I think that if we don't have that element anymore with Josh Heupel, I mean, again, there's not been a perfect situation, I don't think, a quarterback for Tennessee, and yet they've been able to move all these pieces around. I don't think their quarterback, now we can all kind of, Tennessee fans, we can all be on the same side and look at your quarterback last year and go, that guy didn't live up to the hype kind of at any point, except for the first couple of games. And so that being said, if Tennessee does not kind of, at least in the first quarter, look unbeatable against Syracuse, I think things could be kind of tough sledding for them, because this is where Josh Heupel invents plays. Like, this is where he goes, you've never seen this one. Watch this. We're going to get these receivers so wide, they're going to be hugging the cheerleaders, and the defense is never going to see anything like this. So, yeah, I think that this could be a trap game for Tennessee, because I am respecting Syracuse. I think that Syracuse, like I said, was great last year. Should be ranked. They should feel disrespected. But it feels like Heupel can kind of be, number one, in a prison of his own mind sometimes in SEC play. And number two, they run all the good plays to start the year. We've joked about it, and now it's not even a joke. Every year, they basically, it feels like, show their whole playbook running up 70 points, and then guys just adjust. Like, let's do that again and get the boys fired up in Knoxville.
Does he want to get Joey Aguilar those downfield shots early? I talked about having the 18 pass plays as a potential over-under in this game, and I really think that could be in play. You also need to get that guy some reps with receivers that have been banged up in fall camp, and you've probably had a lot of moments in which you thought, man, it'd be really nice to have some continuity in our passing game in ways that they don't. And this is a very new look Tennessee offensive line as well. What are those protections going to look like? Yeah, you've got a veteran quarterback, but there are so many questions on that Tennessee offensive line. And even, your only returning starters, Lance Hurd, your left tackle, who really struggled last year.
Yeah.
Don't laugh, Will. Don't laugh. You're laughing because you're thinking of the PFF numbers. Be nice.
I thought he was okay last year. Kyle was like, this guy was basura. I was like, oh no.
He had a rough year. He's acknowledged that he has had a rough year, but the beauty of his situation and kind of his frame, his skill set, he's going to get another opportunity. Maybe he's going to be better this year. It wouldn't be the craziest thing if that happened. So,
and if you don't just simply transfer to Alabama, you can be the next Caden Proctor and just go in the first round. There you go.
Very different. I'm
just kidding.
That we're talking about. But that's something that I think is going to be really interesting, is what is Josh Heupel doing to make Joey Aguilar look like he's comfortable in these spots, because it's going to take a bit. I really do. I think that there could be some tough moments early on, and ideally Tennessee would like to be able to establish the run. That should be the strongest thing working in their favor in this game, is that ground game, and they will lean on it very, very heavily, especially having 3 fresh backs. Can you imagine how that's going to feel for Josh Heupel after how decimated their backfield was late last season? It's like, oh man, even Dylan Sampson can't give it a go. They really were lacking bodies down the stretch there, and to be able to have, we got 3 guys that are capable of running wild. Star Thomas as well. Like, this could be a lot of fun to kind of see that on display. Maybe it's the resurgence of the Tennessee backfield committee, and that's maybe what wins out week 1.
Yeah, and I had talked about this right when I joined the podcast. It was right around the Josh Heupel kind of era in Tennessee. And one of my buddies went to UCF, so I watched a ton of Josh Heupel at UCF. And this is the most fascinating evolution, adapt or die that we've seen at Josh Heupel, because we talked about it was kind of like the Mike D'Antoni's 7-second Suns whenever Heupel was at Tennessee or at UCF, and now it's kind of funny, like we're both here excited to see this stable of backs, which they had at UCF, but like ground and pound football, killing the clock, like it was so many incompletions at UCF that would just kill their drive, and the defense was back out there. This is like, it's like he went to Wikipedia. It was like, okay, SEC football, they run the ball, they play good defense, they have good offensive line, they pay for quarterbacks.
They still would speed things. They still were like last in the country in time of possession those first couple of years. And like when you have a quarterback that can actually run that system, is Joey Aguilar going to be running tempo the same way? Is it going to look like that? Are they going to actually slow things down for him? Because that takes a lot of time to figure out and process. Could definitely be a different feel than any of the Josh Heupel UCF offenses or the early Tennessee offenses.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying, where it's like we're sitting here going, oh, wow, like this could be such a sloppy ground and pound game, and thinking like Josh Heupel ground and pound game was so weird when he got here. But that's what we saw last year. Great defense. We saw obviously Dylan Sampson last year, but a stable of backs is just like, this guy is like turned into a Southerner. We're turning into like, Boobie Dixon and stuff. We're just handed like billion carries, leaning on you. So it's been cool to see that evolution. And this obviously isn't the quarterback that Josh Heupel, chose or wanted and all that stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see, when your back's against the wall, you become your truest self. So it's going to be interesting to see if he sticks with kind of what he turned into, or if he goes, okay, you know what, let's air this B out and see what we got.